Philharmaddy and welcome to my Q&A.
Alright everyone, put on your opera glasses because it's time to present Maestro Mickey Mouse and the Philharmagic Orchestra!
So for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. I am currently on the cultural exchange program from Australia doing merchandise, and I still have 1 month left of my program to go, so got plenty of content coming your way. So if you're interested in following along with my journey, hit that subscribe button down below. So without further ado, let's get into the questions. These were all sent in by you guys coming from my Instagram and also posts that I made on the cultural exchange program and college program Facebook pages. So let's get into it. How long did you have to wait after the interview to get your acceptance email? So I actually briefly talked about this on my first ever video, my DCP tag, and oh my goodness, I'm just realizing how long ago that was now. It's incredible to think about. And for this is a little bit different depending on whether you're doing the cultural exchange or the college program. For the cultural exchange, we were specifically told that we would get our results of our interview within about a week of them finishing up interviews and once the recruiters had got back to America. For me, I had the very last interview in Australia over in Brisbane, and so I found out about a week later. For the college program, it is entirely random. I do not know how that system works. I don't know if anyone does apart from the recruiters. Acceptances and offers are given out in waves, and there's no real sort of rhyme or reason as to how quickly you'll get that offer. Are there many other Australians? Yes, there are quite a few other Australian and New Zealanders. I've had multiple guests comment on the amount of people they've seen from Australia and New Zealand. Our cultural exchange intake from January was quite a large one. We had quite a considerable number of people extending. I can't tell you exactly how many, but you're gonna hear quite a few Aussie and Kiwi accents around the place. What has been the hardest thing to get used to in America and at Disney in general? I think I have two answers for this. One being the humidity, because I come from Adelaide, South Australia. We get really high temperatures, but we get zero humidity. And so walking outside and it feeling like I'm being slapped around by a hot, wet towel is not exactly pleasant, and we aren't even in the worst part of the year yet in terms of the heat or humidity. Otherwise, the other big thing that I still sometimes catch myself doing is I wonder why I'm walking through a crowd at the Magic Kingdom and walking into so many people. And then I realize I was walking on the left. If you're coming from somewhere like Australia, we are used to walking on the left-hand side. We're used to driving on the left-hand side. And so you have to be really careful when crossing the road and not relying on muscle memory, because you have to be actively scanning both ways, because your instinct will be to look in the exact opposite direction of where you should be looking. And even to this day, my CP friends sometimes laugh at me when I go to sit in the car and go to sit in on the driver's side rather than the passenger side, and it has happened a few too many times. Whoops. What is one like and dislike about working merchandise at your location? So I want to preface this in saying that I love Frontierland. This is one of my favorite places to work, and I'm so happy that I actually got this as my home location. I've done a fair amount of shift trading, and this still remains my home and my favorite, as you may be able to see from up there with my little painting I got from Festival of the Arts earlier this year. For me, my favorite thing has to be pin trading. Pin trading is the joy in my day. I love interacting with guests. I love doing mystery pin trivia. I'll probably do a whole video about pin trading once I get back home to Australia, because it's just so much fun, and I have so many great stories of pin trading and so many great guest interactions that come from pin trading. Otherwise, in terms of dislike, the main thing is that sometimes if you get put on certain registers, it can be very slow. Even though I am in the busiest part, Magic Kingdom, Frontierland is probably one of the most quiet sections of the park at times, because most people are just heading through, because we're a dead end, so most people are just heading straight down to Splash or Thunder or into Pirates and Adventureland. And so as a result, especially if you're in Prairie Outpost, which is our mini confectionery, not many people know that it actually even exists. And if you're not at the case line registers and you're down at Prairie 3 at the other end of the store, you can go a couple of hours and only talking to a few guests. And so time does drag a little bit there, but otherwise I really love my location. Favorite work location as EHH. So for those of you who don't know, EHH stands for Extra Hours Hotline. It is what we call the cast members who are either trading to different locations or picking up an extra shift. I have done a lot of shift trading on my program. If you follow my Instagram, you'll often see me wearing different costumes. I've got plenty of photos on there, and you can stay up to date with where I am. After the first month of my program, I was trading at least one shift a week. Actually, tonight after I finish filming this, I'm actually going to work at the Emporium. So I really enjoy the fact that merchandise, you can pick up different shifts at other parks and at other locations as long as you've got the relevant training. Personally, my favorite has to be Memento Mori. I was very fortunate in getting deployed there for a week, so I was actually scheduled there. It is probably one of the most difficult shifts to try and get because so many people want to work there. For those of you who don't know, Memento Mori is the Haunted Mansion gift shop, and it is by far my favorite shop in the entire Magic Kingdom park. The theming is incredible and the guests were so much fun to talk to because either you have like the die-hard fans or you have people who are just discovering the attraction for the first time, and it's so much fun to chat to them. Especially great was the fact that a couple of weeks before that I had actually had a backstage tour, and so I had all these extra fun facts about Memento Mori and the Haunted Mansion that I could also give to guests as well, and it was just a magical experience. Also, the costume is awesome. I'll put a photo somewhere, I don't know where, here. And seriously, it was the most cool costume to wear. It's a pain to get on because of the way the apron works at the back. It's a bit fiddly, but it looks super cute and you feel really, really cool. Is it true that you have to move around underground when in uniform rather than just walking through the park? So this depends on what park you're working at. For me in Magic Kingdom, the answer is yes. I do have to stay in the tunnels unless I am up on stage working. And that's to do with keeping the integrity of the theming within each land. So if I'm in the Frontierland costume, I cannot go outside of Frontierland. And there are only a few costumes that are designed specifically to be neutral enough to be able to roam the park because of the necessities of their role. And that includes guest relations, the blue shirt guest experience, park greeters, and also the generic stock costume. There may be a few others that I'm missing, but those are the ones that come to mind. And so as a result, it means that we keep the theming intact. However, if you are in another park, there isn't as much sort of backstage routes because unlike Magic Kingdom who has the tunnels, I think we only have small ones in Future World in Epcot, and that's it. So for the rest of the park, for the most part, you will need to at least go on stage at least somewhere to get to your work location. And so as a result, it will mean walking on stage in costume before you've clocked in or before you actually get to where you're working. What are buses really like? It's like any other bus system. I mean, if you've never really taken much public transport or you're used to a different form of public transport that's far more on time than a bus system ever could be, it may come as a shock to the system. I'm used to catching buses, and so I haven't really had too much of a problem with it. The main thing is just preparing in advance. You would have seen in my week in the life, I was often going out around 2 hours before my shift. But the thing is, I'd wake up about 15 minutes beforehand, throw clothes on, go on out, and then get ready when I got there. So it's just all about allowing time for everything. And certainly there'll be times when a bus won't show up or it goes straight past you, or it breaks down in the middle of iDrive. I've got plenty of stories. There'll probably be a whole video on that once I get home. But for the most part, I haven't had too many problems with it. And they aren't the most frequent, but you can usually rely, especially Epcot is the best for buses because you get a lot of them because there's a lot of internationals doing the cultural representative program here. So they have like 4 buses on that loop, whereas something like trying to get to, say if you're working at ESPN, if you're at the Commons, you're going to have to catch a bus or walk over to Chatham to get a bus from there because it doesn't even stop at Commons. So your experience with the buses really will depend on what location you're working at, where you're trying to go, and which complex you're at. What are the cast member discounts like? Can you get much off as a CP? Well, you're in luck because for the most part, college program cast members and culture exchange, all that jazz, we get the same discounts as regular cast members, except regular cast members do get higher discounts once they've been working there for, I think it's around 3 years, you start getting higher discounts. But for the most part, we get access to all the perks of being a cast member. For the majority of the year, you get 20% off merchandise, so the same as Disney Vacation Club and annual pass holders. However, you do get an extra 20%, so you get 40% off during the holiday season. I think that's around between Thanksgiving and Valentine's Day. So if you are coming in January, make sure you know what you want to spend your money on quickly and don't regret not buying anything once the 40% rolls off, because that was definitely me. Otherwise, if you are coming in August or for fall and staying for the second half of the year, see if you can hold out as much as you can until you get that 40%. Otherwise, we also do get discounts on dining. This varies from year to year, so I can't say for certain which ones you get. They usually range between 20% to 40%. And however, you do have an 18% gratuity automatically included. So it's more like you get 2% or 22% off that price. I will also say that this is mainly for table service. There are very few quick service locations that will offer discounts. But certainly if you end up working as a cast member, check on the hub and you'll be able to see all the discounts that are available at the time. And finally, we do also have resort room discounts pending availability. This can be anywhere up to 50% off a room if you are staying in it, and I think 15 to 25% or so if you're buying a room for family. One more thing to mention that I almost forgot is if you are staying in the second half of the year, especially after hours events, but also Christmas and Halloween parties on select nights, you can also get somewhat discounted tickets as well. How do you find energy to go to the parks after working? Oh, this is a hard one because most of the time I don't, because after work I go home and sleep because I'm usually closing, or if I'm doing a mid shift, it's kind of an awkward time period where you don't have quite enough time to go to the parks afterwards. Certainly there are some weeks, like the week that I filmed for my Week in a Life of a Cultural Exchange Program participant, I went to the parks a lot that week. I was doing a lot of things that week. It just happened to be that kind of week. And the way my schedule worked out allowed me to do that. On the other hand, the week after that I didn't film, I was literally closing stock every night, finishing it around 1:15, one night even 2 a.m. And so as a result, I literally just spent that week at home sleeping and didn't go to a single park. So it really varies from week to week. I think the most important thing is knowing your body, knowing your energy levels, and not pushing your point to the self of exhaustion, because if you do that, then you're going to get sick and then you won't be able to go to the parks at all. So it's definitely a balancing act. Certainly I try to get to the parks at least once or twice a week. Sometimes it's easiest doing it before work. Magic Kingdom I've definitely visited the most, just because I can go there before work and then go backstage, get ready, go out. Similarly, so usually if I'm trading shifts to other parks, I will go ahead and go to that park before my shift if I've got time, or afterwards. But yeah, you make time for it. And my best strategy for actually finding the energy and going ahead and actually getting out and going to the park is to make plans with other people. I love solo days, but I find if I'm only going by myself, I'll have a plan to go in and then I won't, because I'll wake up and just go, it's fine, I'll do it another day. If I've actually got a plan to meet up with someone, then I'm far more likely to actually go out and meet them at the park. How's your bucket list going? How much have you accomplished so far? So I have 1 month left of my program. If you're interested in seeing what I've done on my bucket list, check out the description down below, because I actually have a link to a Google document where I've been ticking everything off as I go. I feel like I've actually been doing pretty well. There are still quite a few shows I haven't seen. That's a big thing. Magic Kingdom I've mostly finished off. Animal Kingdom I've done most of. I still need to become a wilderness explorer. I've only done a couple of those, so I've got a lot to go on that. But for the most part, I've actually managed to do a lot of what I was hoping to get done. And in this next month, I'm trying to push aside any sleep. I can sleep in July, it's fine. Sleep is for July. I'm just trying to do as much as I can while I'm still here. So certainly once I get back home, there will be a video coming out and we are going to review my bucket list to see how much did I actually manage to get done of the parks within 5 months. And I believe that was the last question. And so thank you very much everyone for watching. If you have any more questions, put them down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content coming soon your way. So I really enjoyed making this Q&A video. If you think I should do another one at some point, let me know down in the comments below as well. And until next time, TTFN.